Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolebarger. Welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East update. It's the week of October 20th. Probably the most important thing you can do right now is to go to our website at holygroundexplorations.com in order to access the PDF PowerPoint which accompanies this YouTube presentation. Again, much more detail on the PowerPoints with accompanying photos, etc. So check that out. This is just a short advertisement, really, as far as what we cover on the PowerPoint. So again, website, holygroundexplorations.com. Couple trips that we have coming up, you can see on our website. One you won't see is we're hiking the Jesus Trail, February 16th through the 26th. Along with some other hikes, Masada, En-Gedi, Gamla, etc. If you're a hiker and you would love this experience, email me. This trip is limited. It's filling up. I think we only have 4 spots left. But my email address is dan@hgexplorations.com. On our website, you'll find 2 tours that we have for 2019. One is called Revealing Israel, perfect trip for a first-timer. And then in the fall, we're doing a tour that we call the Issachar Tour. Again, knowing HGE Horizon, knowing Holy Ground, you know that we stand for 2 things, the Israel of the Bible as well as the Israel of today. And these 2 trips in 2019 are weighted a bit differently. Revealing Israel, that first-timers trip's gonna lean more on the Israel of the Bible, whereas the Issachar tour in the fall leans a little bit more in regards to the Israel of today. But both tours, you get both aspects. Okay, enough of advertisements. What are we covering today? Lots going on. And there's some things that are still sort of open-ended, which again reminds me, go to the website, get the PowerPoint, because we're not going to be able to cover all of these things in detail. As you probably know by now, or maybe you don't, because we know the problem with the media and what they report, but there's been some of these lone wolf stabbings and shootings in Israel. Last week we had a Palestinian trying to stab a soldier in the West Bank, apprehended. We still have this incident in the Barkan Industrial Park where 2 Israelis were shot execution style, and the terrorist has not been apprehended yet. It's sort of an all-out manhunt that's going on these days. Now, some other things. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison is strongly considering moving its embassy from, you guessed it, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be a lot of war drums and saber rattlings and all of that sort of thing. A survey, this is under the first slide that we call weekly headlines. A survey recently shows that most Israelis want the government to continue its tough line against the Iranian threats. Israel Hayom reported on Wednesday that over 3/4, 77% of citizens surveyed agreed that Israel must continue attacking Iranian targets in Syria. Now, some of the articles, again, glossing over them. Last Tuesday, early in the morning, about 3:40, Gaza terrorists shot a rocket from Gaza that landed in a child's bedroom in Beersheba, destroyed the whole house. You can see the pictures there. Of course, Israel retaliated. By the way, another rocket at the same time was shot not just from the south to Beersheba, but to Tel Aviv. That rocket happened to land in the Med. So again, tensions are mounting. Israel continues to say if this doesn't stop, We're going to strike and strike hard into Gaza. Again, we have the Egyptians trying to mediate, but this is one of those things that I referred to in the beginning that's still unfolding. We'll have to wait and see what transpires. There's an article here about Russia and Iran. This reminds me of Amir Sephardi's presentation that he gave a couple weeks ago to our Holy Ground folks here in Coeur d'Alene, where he talked about the triad of Ezekiel, where you have the Russians, the Iranians, and the Turks. And so there's an article here that talk about Russia and Iran and Turkey agreeing on a mechanism that will kind of prop up Iran in regards to the crippling sanctions that Trump is planning or to uphold in a sense. So take a look at that. Bibi Netanyahu spoke to the Christian Media Summit, basically said, I'm not going to apologize. Quote, we have no better friends in the world than evangelical Christians. Amen for that. Continue to remind you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Again, when it comes to this open-ended thing, Lieberman, the defense secretary in Israel, is adamant that a heavy blow needs to happen in regards to Gaza, in regards to either the launching of the terror balloons or the terror tunnels or whatever takes place. Lieberman's basically saying we've reached the red line and Israel needs to deal a heavy blow to Gaza and Hamas. And so once again, as I mentioned, a bit open-ended. We'll have to wait and see. There's an article here you'll find about fuel to Gaza being withheld. Really the heart and soul of this issue in the Middle East is this article that refers to Islam versus Judaism. And it's really combined with the following, which is just named Peace Partner. How can you really have peace when these two entities are so extreme in regards to their views on one another? Again, more so I would say on the Palestinian or Islamic side, but the reality is that to pretend that there can be a viable peace in the Middle East between Israel and Islam is foolish. Read these articles and you'll understand why. And then this whole affair with, I probably will not pronounce this right, but with Khashoggi. There's an article here, it's called View from Jerusalem. I mean, it's horrifying to think about what's taken place in Saudi Arabia. But again, this View from Jerusalem is basically to say behind the scenes, Israel continues to side with the Saudis. It really has no choice to overlook this tragedy, because for Israel, the fight against Iran stunts everything else. That's one view from a senior Israeli minister. How Trump ends up handling this, again, because it's ongoing, we're going to have to wait and see. And then we have, I think I'll start this every so often in an article that's tracking Nikki Haley. Again, you can read this, her talking about leaving the UN, and then some, I like this beginning. She says, you know, when I was first offered the UN role, Haley reports, she told Trump, honestly, I don't even know what the UN does. And when she made that statement, the crowd that was listening to her erupted with sympathetic laughter and applause. But she goes on to say that she held secretive meetings with Henry Kissinger about every 2 months. We're going to miss Nikki. We'll see where she resurfaces in the political landscape. And then a couple quotables that I've left with you. Again, my favorite one is from, believe it or not, Senator John Kennedy on CNN Newsday. His quote is, "There are no democracies in the Middle East with the exception of Israel." With the exception, and then he goes on and he says, "I trust every Middle Eastern country about as much as I trust gas station sushi." Once again, the only friend that we have in the Middle East, the only democracy in the Middle East, as you know, is Israel. So God bless you. Reminder, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And if you get a chance, send this YouTube on to your friends. God bless you and shalom.